Ready for a laugh? I am. This is Robert Manni, host of Guys TV. This week my special guest is the amazing comedian and actor Adam Ferrara. It all starts right here, right now on Guys TV. You can also catch me on Guys Radio, my worldwide podcast, and on KCAA Radio right here in Southern California. Guys TV, Guys Radio, thanks for your support. Okay, Guys Radio and Guys TV, we've got a special treat for you today. We're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to do some comedy with one of the top comical talents in the business, Adam Ferrara. Like myself, he's from the East Coast, out here on the West Coast. He's an actor, comedian who Entertainment Weekly is dubbed as hilarious. And I can tell you from listening to his comedy albums, he is terrific. He co-hosted the critically acclaimed BBC series Top Gear USA for 6 seasons. He starred in the AOL series In the Driver's Seat with Adam Ferrara and was the online host for the Barrett Jackson Collector Car Auction. He grew up in Long Island, got his love for muscle cars from his dad, who could fix anything, but Adam held the light for him while he was doing that. He's got a new podcast. It's called the Adam Ferrara Podcast. It's been considered a breakout hit, a must listen. And his new comedy album, which I listened to the other day, is hilarious. It's called It's Scary in Here. It debuted at #1 on iTunes. And his other album, one of his other albums, Unconditional, was called the People's Choice Album of the Year. He also is an accomplished actor. He played Chief Needles on Rescue Me. And also he worked with alongside Edie Falco on Showtime's Nurse Jackie, and also starred in the film Paul Blart Mall Cop with the incredible Kevin James. So welcome to Guys Radio, Adam Ferrara. So glad you're here.
Good to see you, my friend. Thanks for having me, Robert. Yeah, and my special is also on YouTube. It's called It's Scary in Here, so you could see it as well as hear it. And I thank you for having me, my friend.
Fantastic. So we have some similarities. You're funny. I'm not really. I'm trying. But were you always funny when you were a kid in school? Were you the cut up? Were you an observer?
Yeah, no, I didn't know I was funny. I was just being me, but I knew that people laughed at what I did and I enjoyed doing it. So it gave me like an identity. It also gave me a way to fit in. Cause like you said, my dad could fix anything. My dad was very mechanical. I don't have that if then go to statement. But I love cars because that's when I got to spend time with my dad is in the garage with cars. And I know how they work. Well, not anymore. The carburetor's gone, but theoretically I know what I'm doing, but mechanically I don't. So I always felt less than until I did stand up for the first time and my whole neighborhood showed up and I saw my father's face and he's like, yeah, okay. And that's when I realized, oh, okay, I can do this and this is where I can contribute. Because my dad worked like a dog. He left in the dark to go to work. He came home in the dark and he was always worried about making it all work and paying the bills and keeping everybody happy and healthy and taking the time to teach us what it meant to be a good guy, a good man, to have how important your character is. So I always saw the stress in his face. And when he came home and I could make him laugh, that face went away.
When you were a kid and you were around the house, did you make your dad laugh? Did you make your friends laugh? Yeah. And what was the kind of inspiration to say, you know what, I want to get up in front of people? Did somebody encourage you to do that? Was that your own idea? What happened?
I always was funny, but I didn't think I could do it. I didn't think I had it. It's like it was weird. It's like I needed permission to do it. Like, other people do that, not me. And a couple of things happened. I had, Steve Vai, the guitarist. I had him on the show. Legendary guitarist. And I remember reading that he was from Carl Place, Long Island. And I was born in Queens and raised in Huntington, Long Island. And I was like, wow, well, this guy from Carl Place is doing something important. Maybe I should be able to do it. And I told Steve when I had him on my show, I said, listen, you're the reason I picked up the guitar and you're the reason I put it down. Who we kidding? I can't play like that. But it kind of gave me permission to go out and do it. And then when I went on stage to try it, well, I didn't know I was going to do it. I knew I liked stand up. I knew I was funny. And I was 12 years old and I saw the Richard Pryor VHS tape. My mom and dad went to one of those barbecues you go to, where you pull up and your mother gives you the warning in the car before you get out. Like, now your father does business with these people. Don't behave like animals. Don't clog the toilet. Whatever. So they were all downstairs watching the Richard Pryor concert, and the kids couldn't come in, right? So then the adults went upstairs to have coffee, and I went back in, and it was the first time I saw a VCR, and I went, it's a tape recorder. Rewind, pushed play. Robert, standing up. I just watched the whole thing standing up, my mouth open. And I remember saying, there was nobody in the room, just me. But I said out loud, look what this man can do. I didn't know I wanted to be a comic, but it was the first time my entire attention was captured. And I knew that this is important. This seems like a profound moment for me. I don't know what it means, but I am riveted to it. So I always remembered it. And then I went out and started buying these, saving up my money and getting comedy albums. And my aunt gave me a bootleg tape of Carlin, and then I started just collecting, Eddie Murphy and all this stuff. And Pryor was one of my favorites. So it all goes into the machine, and then you don't know what you're doing. I'm on the school bus doing Richard Pryor bits, just one, to protect myself from bullies, because they're not going to hit you if they're laughing. And two, right, it was like I could do it. So.
Now, how did you come up with for your first stand-up act when you were 12? How did you come up with the material? Was it your own? Did you write some jokes?
I was doing Richard Pryor stuff. I was doing Richard Pryor on the bus. I didn't have a stand-up. I was just a funny kid. So, but a lot of things, at that age, you're a sponge. You absorb everything. And a lot of it's from TV, and a lot of it's from, just the input. And then for some reason, the little guy in the head can put it together and make it funny. When you're a kid, you don't know what you're doing. You're just doing. And I remember when I went down to try it, and I tried stand up, and my whole neighborhood was there for the open mic I went to, because my mother was the original Twitter, Robert. I told her, and I told everybody. So because they knew in this little neighborhood that I was going to do it, and I was funny, they're like, oh, what's something to do? We'll go. So we sold it out on a Wednesday night, and I had 5 minutes, and I had written stuff, but what happened was, I think it was one of my cousins or someone said something, and for 5 minutes, I just made fun of him, and everyone was laughing because they all knew everybody. So I did really, really well in a tailored environment without doing the material I wrote. But I got the big hit, the dopamine hit of what this could be. And for the first time, I felt like, okay, I belong here. I don't know how long this is going to last, but that's the first time I went, okay, this is where I fit. And I'll stay here as long as I can, and I'll learn my lessons along the way.
Do you think people from New York, New Jersey area, just based on their experience there and how people are so, they let you know if they like you, they don't like you right away. It's very different than here in Southern California. Can you talk a little bit about, do you think people are funnier back there? And then what's been your experience with the transition from East Coast to West Coast? I know you've done a bit about your wife's from the West Coast and you're from the East Coast. It's hilarious.
Yeah. Well, basically, I think there's an urgency of existence on the East Coast. I got an apartment in New York City. There's 8 million people on a 26-mile island. There's no time to wave good morning. Someone's going to take my cab. So there's a bang, bang, bang. And New Yorkers are helpful, but there's no patience. The pace of living is just quicker, so it makes you get to the bottom line of a lot quicker. A lot. You have to discern and get to the bottom line of what you need to do to move on with your day, and you got to deal with weather. You're down by what? San Diego?
Yeah.
Here's the weather report in San Diego. 80 degrees and beautiful. It's going to be the same the rest of the week. Back to you, Bill. That's it. You don't have to. You're not getting up on a January morning with snow on the car at 6 o'clock. It's still dark out. You got to take you don't have an ice scraper.
I've
you got
done
a McDonald's bag. So you're sitting there with a McDonald's bag on your hand, and you're cutting a hole in the snow in the windshield, thinking to yourself, "Oh, when I drive, the snow will fall off." No, it won't. You're not smarter than nature. So then you open up the door, and the snow lands on the seat. And now I'm going to drive to work with a wet ass. You know what? I quit. Go back to work. That's it. I'm done. So we got to overcome a lot of other, just weather and shit in New York and density population. And,
you think,
so in answer to the question, are they funnier? I think they are more honest, because there's not a lot of time to not get to the truth quickly. It's like, they're not passive aggressive people. They're aggressive passive, pretty much. I don't want to hurt you, but you're in my way.
Okay, Adam Ferrara, my special guest on Guys Radio. We're talking about East Coast, West Coast comedy, all kinds of stuff you've done. How did you get into cars? You're a Queens, Long Island guy. When did the whole car thing turn you on?
My dad was very mechanical. He could fix anything, and he was my hero. He was the guy that, you got to be like that. And the one I got it. Machines were my father was fascinated with machines, and I don't have the mechanical ability, but I had the respect for what he could do. He built our house. He did
Wow.
kitchens and bathrooms, but he bought a piece of property on a corner, and him and my mother drew it up, and he knew, he never went to school. He was self-taught with everything. I got off the school bus one day. He's cutting a circular driveway into the front lawn. First of all, because I heard the argument the night before. My mother's like, Joe, why do we need a circular driveway? Because I don't want to back up. Okay, fine.
I love it.
I got off the school bus. He's got a bulldozer and he's cutting the driveway. He's grading it and cutting the driveway. He's on this bulldozer with a Lucky Strike hanging in his mouth, just doing it. I came running and I go, he's like Fred Flintstone. I go, Pop, this is great. When did you learn how to do it? He goes, I rented a bulldozer. This is what we're doing today. Hold on. There was no, I can't, what if I have to study? He's like, I'll figure it out. So when it came to cars too, he was like, he explained, that's when he took the time. I think I got into it because he took the time to explain it to me. Because he always was like worried about survival in the world. And he's like, look, if you get jammed up, just pay off your car first. No one's going to come and tow your house away. Okay, great. And if you're going to fix it, here's what you got to do. If it does this, that means it's this. So I know, I can't fix them, but I can change the oil. I can gap a spark plug. I can smack the solenoid to get the starter to kick in. I can do all that stuff. But, and he was just very much teaching me how to survive in the world, and cars were his thing where he stopped and took the time to show me. So I think that's where I connected to I have a romantic fascination with cars. It's freedom. You get to drive whatever you can go wherever you want. And I really enjoy driving. It's meditative for me.
Well, it's worked out nicely for you because you got that gig with Top Gear for 6 seasons on BBC. And then you were in the driver's seat with Adam Ferrara. So how did that come about? Were they aware of your?
I got a call from my manager called me up. It was AOL Autos, and they had the Jaguar and Land Rover account. So they needed they wanted to do some online stuff for it. So they called me up and said, what do you think? I said, well, yeah, I got a couple ideas. So I met the producer. We seemed to get along. I pitched him the ideas. He goes, these are great. They flew me up to Monticello. We shot them in New York. They brought me the line of Jaguars. They brought me the line of Land Rovers. So I wrote these 30-second minute pieces on each car, and I got to drive them. And they had the Russian arm is the car. When you see me sliding the car on the track and you see that tracking shot, that's that's a Porsche Cayenne with an arm on it with a camera in it. So that's really a lot of fun. And I did a bunch of those, and they got millions of views. And I got to rip these cars up for a couple of days. So it was fun. What Barrett Jackson too, when I started doing pieces for Barrett Jackson.
What do you think about the whole out here, at least in California? I see, it's Teslas, Prius, Subarus, which aren't electric, but
Ford sent me the Mustang, the Mach-E, the GT Performance model. It's a monster. I mean, it's necessary now because the Earth is like, we've had enough. Sorry, had enough. And this is where it's going. I mean, the top 3 automakers shifted 30% of their production budgets to EVs, and we got to build the infrastructure because you got to be able to charge these things. But this is just where we're going. I mean, I got a 1990 LS 400, 4.7 liter. I mean, this thing it's got coffee cans facilities.
Right.
But it's, it's the first year Lexus came out, but the car's what, 32 years old? But it's the first year that Lexus came out with a big sedan. So it's built like a tank. And I murdered it all out. It's all black. I dropped it. I put Euro lights in it, and I gave it a chin, a little front, and I drive around like the Yakuza. So it's a fun car that I like to have, but it's I need a cosigner to fill it up. So
that's true.
But when I drove the Mach-E, I mean, there's spirit there. It's not like I like the theater. I like, I want to hear the engine. I want to smell the exhaust. I want a camshaft that rattles my fillings at idle. It's alive. This thing's alive. The electric cars, they're not alive, but there's spirit in them. You step on that accelerator, it's instant torque, and it's just, you're gone. The experience isn't the same because there's no sound. I mean, I was shooting right here and we had to do a speed run. And usually when you do a speed run in like a supercar and stuff, you hear it, and I'm like, when the streets aren't roped off and we don't have a cop, in security, I don't want to do this. But then I see these other Teslas just flying and you can't hear them. So, it's it's a new evolution that I'm trying to embrace. I got into, it was funny. I had Chris Titus on the show. You familiar with Chris? He's a comic actor at the show Titus. And he's a car guy. And we got in a big fight over the Mach-E, calling it a Mustang. It's not a Mustang. It's not a Mustang. I'm like, yeah, remember the Mustang 2? It was a 4-cylinder with a Pinto front end. I didn't hear you bitching then. So it's a natural evolution. I think Ford was brilliant for naming it the Mach-E, the Mustang Mach-E, because it started the conversation. People are still talking about it. It's a crossover, but it's not, it's a polarizing move, but I think it worked because that's the direction we're going. That torquism, there's a setting on the Mach-E called balls in the back seat. You push that button, you step on the gas, and your balls go in the back seat. So you can't really argue with instant torque.
Amazing. So how did you go from there to get some gigs in the more traditional acting TV? You were on Nurse Jackie. Before that, you were on Rescue Me.
I did those first, yeah. I was a stand-up and I was an actor first. So I was doing, I was shooting Rescue Me at the time. So the show was coming to an end. And we were on tour. Dennis Leary, Lenny Clark, myself, Kenny Rogerson, and the band were on tour doing the Rescue Me comedy tour. We would do that every year to launch the season. And we're on a tour bus, and Dennis said, how do you guys feel about making this the last season? And Lenny and I looked at each other and went, no, we don't have Ice Age. Think about us, you skinny Irish bastard. So I knew I needed another job. And I had pitched this car show to History, and I shot the pilot. And they didn't pick up the pilot, but they liked me. So they said, do you know the show Top Gear? And I said, yeah. I go, it's a perfect show. Don't screw it up. They said, we want you to be in it. Or we should meet the executive producers and maybe you could be in it. I go, I don't want to screw it up. It's a perfect show. She's like, go and meet them. I said, but look, I'm not an automotive journalist. I'm an actor. I mean, I'm a car guy, but I'm an actor. She's like, just go meet them. So I met the producers, and what gave me a little bit of the reason I did it was because it wasn't just some people doing a ripoff of the show. It was the actual guys that produced the Top Gear in the UK. Mm-hmm. So I knew they were going to protect and, be true to the original formula, but I didn't want to do an impression of those guys because it was just a perfect show. And they assured me, they said, no, we just want you guys to be you in this context. Go meet the guys. So Tanner Faust, Rutledge Wood were the other two co-hosts of mine. And Rob, I only worked with them, so I knew that they wanted those two. And it wasn't like a traditional acting gig where you go to a studio or you go to some producer's office and you read a scene with somebody. This was like, go to this church parking lot, look for the Mitsubishi Evo and a bunch of English guys. Like it was a ransom drop. They should have ended the call with, and no cops. So I showed up, and there they were. There was cameras hanging around, a bunch of English dudes, and the two guys. And we started. I made them laugh. They made me laugh, and then we just started ripping the car around. And I went home, and I said, okay, that was fun. Then they wanted to see me again. This went on for 3 or 4 months. I quit twice. I went, I'm not coming back. What's going to be different? I'm not coming back. What do you want, my mole on the other side? I'm not coming back. So they said, no, come back. So, and after about 3 or 4 months, they gave me the job. And I thought it was just going to be a summer job because I was touring as a comic, and I was shooting some movies. So I was still working. So I figured, okay, I'll do this for the summer. We'll do 6, 10 episodes, whatever it is. And then that'll be it. We ended up going for 6 years.
Amazing. How did you kind of get your footing as a stand-up comic? I mean, obviously you were inspired to do it. You started out doing other people's materials, then you did your own material, I'm sure. Kind of what did you learn, and what was the tipping point for you to know, like, I got this?
It was more of a felt sense than a formed thought. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
You hit a golf ball right. You're like, oh, you get that ping.
Exactly.
This is the first time I felt the ping, and I remember thinking, okay, I belong here. Don't know how long, and I just said, I belong here for now. So and when I was 20, you're just devoted to something that gives you that feeling of, I'm going to say, independence and identity, because it wasn't cars. It wasn't my father's life. This was something that was totally aberrant to the family structure. I come from a long line of, guys work with their hands, I just don't have it, so I just committed myself to it. I went down to the club every night just to sit. I sat at the corner of the bar and just networked and watched, and I put my ass where my heart wanted to be. if I could quote.
Where did you, did you just observe society and culture, what's going on, and then formulate your thoughts and turn them into, hilarious material? Or how did you come up with your
I
bits?
was more of a confessional comic, Robert. I'm a student of the human condition. I'm not really a social commentary. I do some, and I'm not a political comic. I'm more about the experience of what it means to be, human, and to when you talk about the frustrations and stuff, and take my life, put it into a blender, and try and make art out of it. So I never really. That's the stuff I like. The things that I connect with, and I learned quite early that I like to do, and brought me the most satisfaction, is when I see someone in the audience shaking their head or pushing their partner to articulate a feeling or a behavior that people are aware of but haven't been able to put into words. That's the most satisfying thing for me.
What do you think, Adam, and my special guest, Adam Ferrara, a tremendous comic and comic actor also, and professional actor. What do you think about this whole cancel culture? How has it impacted, if at all, your work?
You get twitchy about saying stuff, because everyone's looking for a story point to place their own agenda in, and it's like, no, it's a joke. It's because of social media, you can pretty much and dial up any reality you want, and you could find like-minded people to think that everyone thinks that way, and how dare you if you're not in this group, and it's dangerous. So it doesn't really affect me when what I write. It affects me when I do stuff on stage and my wife sees it and says, don't say, you can't, okay. But there's a certain balance that I try to achieve with, and I've always had this respect for other people. If I did offend or anything, there's no malice of forethought. There's no intention to hurt. If there's anything in my act, it's an intention to unify. I'd rather be part of the solution than part of the problem.
Do you find that comedians, are you guys and ladies competitive with each other when you get together as a group? I noticed from watching Jerry Seinfeld with his comedian in Cars Getting Coffee, that he really puts it to them. They have to perform, and it was interesting that some of really top names did not come over, in my opinion, that well on his show in that format. That they weren't on the stage with their material just being funny. They just weren't that good, and others were fantastic. What are your thoughts on that in terms of comedians' interaction with one another?
If you're are people comedians? Yeah, I mean, it's like any other profession, but there's also people, comics. I've been very fortunate to have people help me, and I've been able to help other people. And my experience was, stuff doesn't come from you; it comes through you. So, if you just got to be a vessel and allow whatever's coming through you. If that means you're helping somebody else, if that means, what material needs to come out now. But yeah, comics are competitive, and a lot of this stuff is external validation is why we start doing it. And when you keep looking for it and it's not there, it's a fallacy. Gotcha. So, but if someone's further along the road up to you, it messes with your identity, because you think, why them? I mean, yeah, especially when you make your living at your art form.
Right.
There's a lot of times, still to this day, I'll be watching Netflix with my wife, and we'll watch a movie, and I'll see somebody I know, and I'll lean over to my wife and go, "He's working."
Of course, yeah, I get you.
So yeah, but there's also a sense of community, and it's like any other profession,
Okay. So you have a couple of shows. You've got a tour. Tell us about your YouTube show and your tour. You got some dates coming up.
Yeah, you can go to I don't know when this is going to drop, but all my tour dates are at adamferrara.com. And hopefully I'll be coming to a city near you. Come see me. My special is on YouTube. It's called It's Scary in Here. We recorded it at Gotham in New York City, and it's a lot of fun. And that's the most current special. I've had a bunch of other ones that I'm sure they're out there on Comedy Central. I did 3 for Comedy Central, and a couple of albums and stuff. So you can find my stuff. And my podcast is called the Adam Ferrara Podcast. 30 minutes, you'll never get back.
Fantastic.
And who is on? I don't know when it's going to air, but I've had Nathan Lane did one for me. Joe Buck, the sportscaster, did one for me. Billy Gibbons from ZZ Top. Ann Wilson from Heart. Gabriel Iglesias, Chris DiStefano, a bunch of comics. Jay Leno, actually, we talked about cars and stuff. Edie Falco from Nurse Jackie did one. A lot of Sopranos guys. Michael Imperioli.
We had Vincent Pastore and Robert Fornero on. So Anyhow, fantastic stuff. Adam Ferrara, you're hilarious. Great career, doing great work. And I hope you'll come back again. And thank you so much for
Lovely,
being
my
on Guys
friend. Our
Guys
mutual
Radio.
friend Dean put us together, and he was on the show as well.
Yep.
Yeah, so I would love to, my friend. Be well and be happy.
Okay, you too. If you're enjoying the content and the guests I bring you each and every week to Guys Guys Radio and TV, please subscribe to our channels. Thanks for your support.